The alarm screamed inside the cockpit. Captain Taman gripped the controls of his scout ship as red lights flashed across every screen. He was supposed to be mapping this sector of space, marking safe routes for Earth's colonial fleet. Nothing exciting, nothing dangerous. Just another boring week alone in the void. But the distress signal changed everything. Taman stared at the readings. The signal came from the planet below, a hostile world covered in purple forests and toxic swamps. His training told him to report it and move on. Let the big ships handle rescue missions. He was just one man in a tiny ship with barely any weapons. The signal pulsed again. Weak, desperate. Someone was dying down there. He made his decision in seconds. The scout ship dove through the atmosphere, shaking violently as it cut through thick clouds. The planet's air was breathable for humans, barely. It smelled like rotting fruit mixed with chemicals. Taman checked his scanner. The signal came from 10 kilometers east, deep in the forest. He landed in a clearing and grabbed his equipment. One pistol, one knife, a medical kit, and a portable shield generator. Not much, but it was all he had. The moment he stepped outside, the heat hit him like a wall. Sweat soaked through his uniform instantly. The forest was alive with sounds. Clicking, buzzing, things moving in the shadows. Taman pushed forward, following the signal on his handheld device. The trees here were massive, their trunks wider than his ship. Vines hung everywhere, some of them moving on their own. After an hour of walking, he found the wreckage. A ship, but nothing like Earth's vessels. This craft was elegant, made of silver metal that shimmered even while broken and smoking. It had crashed hard, leaving a long scar across the ground. Strange symbols marked the hull. Taman called out. No response. He moved closer, weapon drawn. The ship's door was torn open. Inside, emergency lights flickered. He climbed through the wreckage, stepping over twisted metal and sparking wires. Then he saw her. She lay pinned under a fallen beam, her breathing shallow. At first, Taman thought she was human. But her skin had a faint silver tint and her eyes were larger, more luminous. She wore armor that looked ceremonial, decorated with intricate patterns. Blood, surprisingly red, pooled beneath her. Her eyes opened when she heard him. Fear flashed across her face, then confusion. She spoke in a language he did not understand, her voice weak but commanding. Taman knelt beside her. He pointed to himself. Human, Earth, I'm here to help. She stared at him, perhaps trying to understand. Then her eyes went wide, looking past him. She shouted something, pointing desperately. Taman spun around. 3 creatures emerged from the forest behind the ship. They stood on 4 legs, each the size of a bear, with scales like armor and mouths full of teeth designed for tearing flesh. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dim light. The creatures growled, a sound that made Taman's blood run cold. They had found prey and they were hungry. Taman raised his pistol and fired. The energy bolt hit the first creature in the shoulder. It screamed and stumbled but did not fall. These things were tough. The other 2 charged. He activated his shield generator. A blue barrier of energy appeared in front of him just in time. The creatures slammed into it, their claws scraping against the shield. The generator whined, already overheating. It would not last long. Taman fired again and again. He hit the second creature in the head. It dropped. The third one circled, looking for a weak spot. The first one, wounded but alive, got back up. His shield failed. The barrier vanished with a sad beep. The creatures attacked together. Taman dove to the side, rolling across the ground. One creature's claws missed him by centimeters. He came up firing, hitting it in the eye. The creature thrashed in pain, but the other one was too fast. It tackled him and Taman fell hard. The pistol flew from his hand. The creature's jaws snapped at his face. He held it back with both hands, its breath hot and rotten. His arms shook with effort. From somewhere he found his knife. With a desperate thrust, he drove it up into the creature's throat. Hot blood sprayed across his face. The creature convulsed and went still. Taman pushed the dead weight off him. His whole body hurt. He looked up. The first creature, the wounded one, was limping toward the alien woman who was still trapped. No, Taman gasped. He stumbled to his feet, grabbed a piece of metal from the wreckage, and ran. The creature turned just as he swung. The metal bar crashed into its skull with a sickening crunch. It fell and did not move again. Silence. Taman stood there, breathing hard, covered in blood and dirt. Every muscle screamed at him. But he was alive. He went to the woman. She watched him with wide eyes like she could not believe what she had just witnessed. Taman examined the beam pinning her. too heavy to lift normally. He looked around, found a piece of debris to use as a lever. "This is going to hurt," he said, even though she could not understand. He positioned the lever and pushed with everything he had. The beam shifted. The woman cried out in pain but pulled herself free. Her leg was badly injured, maybe broken. Taemin checked her wounds with his medical kit. He injected her with a painkiller from his supplies, hoping it would work on her alien biology. She seemed to relax slightly. He helped her stand, supporting most of her weight. She was surprisingly light despite being nearly as tall as him. She spoke again, her tone different now. Grateful, maybe. The walk back to his ship took twice as long. Every few minutes they had to stop so she could rest. More creatures called in the distance, drawn by the smell of blood. Taemin kept his pistol ready. When they finally reached his ship, he helped her inside. The cockpit was cramped with 2 people, but they made it work. She collapsed into the co-pilot seat, exhausted. Taemin started the engines. The ship lifted off, leaving the hostile planet behind. In the safety of orbit, he finally allowed himself to relax. He looked at the woman. She was watching him, her luminous eyes studying his face. She reached out slowly and touched his hand. She said something in her language, a single word repeated softly. Whatever it meant, the tone was clear. "Thank you." Taemin nodded. He set course for the nearest space station. He had no idea who she was, where she came from, or what saving her would mean. He could not have known that this single act of kindness would change his life forever, that the woman he rescued was royalty, that her mother would never let him leave, and that he would soon become a legend among the stars. For now, he was just a man who could not ignore a distress signal, flying through space with an alien princess by his side. The Veltheran homeworld appeared on the view screen like a jewel floating in space. 3 silver rings orbited the planet, each one a massive station housing millions. The planet itself glowed with city lights even on the day side. Taemin had never seen anything so magnificent. The princess, whose name he learned was Hana, had spent the journey teaching him basic words in her language. She was recovering well, her leg healing faster than any human could. She had also been using a communication device to send messages ahead, though Taemin did not know what she was saying. When they approached the planet, 6 warships appeared around them. Each ship was 5 times the size of Earth's largest cruiser. They did not threaten or fire, but the message was clear. Taemin was going exactly where they wanted him to go. Hana spoke to him in broken English she had picked up. "Mother wants meet you." "Very important." "You saved Princess. Very big honor." Taemin shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He had just wanted to help someone in trouble. Now he was being escorted by warships to meet a queen. "I just need to drop you off safely. Then I should get back to my mission." Hana smiled, but something in her expression made him nervous. "Mother will want thank you properly. Our way." They landed at a spaceport larger than most Earth cities. When the airlock opened, Taemin saw hundreds of people waiting. They wore elegant robes in silver and blue, standing in perfect formation. At their center was a platform covered in flowers he did not recognize. Hana took his arm, limping slightly. "Come, do not be afraid," easy for her to say. Taemin followed her down the ramp. The moment Hana appeared, everyone bowed deeply. She raised her hand and they straightened. She spoke to them in her language, gesturing to Taemin several times. A woman stepped forward from the crowd. She was older than Hana, perhaps in her 50s by human standards. But she moved with the grace of a dancer and the authority of a general. She wore a long robe that seemed to shimmer with inner light, and a crown of silver metal rested on her head. Her eyes were the same luminous quality as Hana's, but harder, sharper. Queen Jiwoo. It had to be. She looked at Taemin for a long moment, studying him like a scientist examining an interesting specimen. Then she spoke, her voice strong and clear. Hana translated. "My mother says you have done our family a great service. You risked your life for someone you did not know, on a world that should have killed you." She asked what reward you desire. Taemin thought carefully before answering. "I need no reward, Your Majesty. I'm glad I could help. If possible, I'd like to return to my ship and continue my mission." "My people will be worried," Hana translated. The Queen's expression did not change, but something flickered in her eyes. She spoke again, longer this time. "My mother says you are too modest. This is unusual. Most species would demand payment, technology, or territory. She finds you interesting. She insists you accept our hospitality for a few days. You will be honored at a formal ceremony. After, we will discuss your return." Timon wanted to refuse, but he saw the looks on the faces around him. This was not really a request. He was on their world, surrounded by their military, standing before their queen. He had no choice. "I would be honored," he said, bowing the way he had seen them bow. The queen smiled for the first time. She said something that made several people in the crowd gasp. Hana's eyes widened. "My mother has declared you a hero of the Empire. This is the highest honor for a non-Veltharan. You will stay in the palace as an honored guest." The next 3 days passed in a blur. Timon was given rooms in the palace that were larger than his entire apartment back on Earth. Servants brought him food, strange but delicious dishes that were carefully checked to ensure they were safe for humans. They gave him new clothes, formal robes that felt like silk but shimmered like metal. Hana visited him often. She was fascinated by humans, asking endless questions about Earth, its wars, its culture, its history. Timon answered as best he could, trying to make his world sound less primitive compared to hers. "Your people fight each other often?" she asked during one visit. "We used to. We're better now, but yes, humans have a long history of war. Yet you saved me. An alien, a stranger. That's different. You were in trouble?" Hana tilted her head. "Most species in the galaxy would not do this. They calculate risk versus reward. You calculated nothing. You just acted." Timon shrugged. "Someone needed help. That's all that mattered." Something in her expression changed. She looked at him differently after that. The ceremony was overwhelming. Thousands of Veltharans gathered in a hall so large it had its own weather system. Timon stood on a stage while the queen gave a speech. He understood none of it, but the crowd responded with waves of applause. The queen presented him with a medal, a beautiful piece of craftsmanship shaped like a star with a blue crystal at its center. She placed it around his neck herself, then spoke directly to him. Hana stood nearby to translate. "You have shown my people something they had forgotten. The value of courage without calculation. The strength of compassion without condition. You have honored us with your actions. In return, we wish to learn from you." Timon felt uneasy. "Learn from me, Your Majesty?" "Yes, I'm asking you to stay with us for a time. As a cultural liaison, you would teach us about humanity, your ways, your thinking. In exchange, we would share our knowledge with your people. This could be the beginning of a great friendship between our worlds." It sounded reasonable. It sounded generous. But something in the queen's eyes made Timon's instincts scream warnings. "For how long, Your Majesty? A few months? Perhaps a year. However long it takes to truly understand each other." A year. Timon's mission was only supposed to last 3 months total. Earth Command would list him as missing long before then. "Your Majesty, I'm honored, but I have responsibilities." "My people, we have already contacted Earth," the queen interrupted smoothly. "We have explained the situation. They have agreed to this arrangement. They are very excited about the cultural exchange." Timon felt cold. Earth had agreed? Without asking him? Hana leaned close and whispered, "Please stay. You could help both our peoples. And she hesitated. "I would like to know you better." The queen was watching him carefully. The entire crowd was silent, waiting for his answer. Timon realized he was trapped. If he refused, he would insult the queen in front of her entire court. He would damage relations between Earth and this powerful empire. And something told him that even if he said no, he would not be allowed to leave. He bowed deeply. "I would be honored to serve as cultural liaison, Your Majesty." The queen smiled, and the crowd erupted in applause. But Timon saw the satisfaction in her eyes. She had gotten exactly what she wanted. As the ceremony continued, as people congratulated him and celebrated, Timon felt like a bird that had flown into a golden cage. The bars were beautiful, the cage was comfortable, but it was still a cage. He looked at Hana, who smiled at him warmly. She seemed genuinely happy. Maybe she did not see what her mother was doing. Or maybe she was part of it. Timon smiled back, but his mind was already working. He was a scout, trained to survive in hostile territory, and he had just realized that he might need all that training to escape this beautiful prison. The queen raised her hand, calling for silence. She spoke again, her voice carrying across the vast hall. Hana translated, her voice soft. "My mother says you are now under the protection of the royal family. No harm will come to you here. You are safe." Safe, Timon thought. Safe from everything except the queen herself. 3 months passed, then 4, then 6. Timon stood at the window of his palace quarters looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home. a place that seemed more like a dream with each passing day. His rooms were luxurious beyond anything he had known. Soft beds that adjusted to his body, walls that changed color based on his mood, food that appeared whenever he was hungry, entertainment systems that could create entire virtual worlds. Everything he could want except the one thing he needed: freedom. Every week he asked about returning home. Every week he received the same polite response: "Soon, the Queen is very busy. We will arrange a meeting to discuss your departure." But the meeting never happened. His ship had been moved to a secure facility for study. When he asked to see it, he was told it was not possible right now. Maybe next week, maybe next month. He was not a prisoner. He could go anywhere in the palace, walk in the gardens, visit the city. But guards followed him everywhere, always smiling, always polite, always there. And when he went to the spaceport once to see other ships, he was gently but firmly turned away. For your own safety, they said. The palace became his entire world. Princess Hana visited him almost every day. She was kind, friendly, and seemed to genuinely enjoy his company. They would walk in the gardens, talk about their different worlds, play games that were popular on Veltara. She taught him more of her language. He taught her more about Earth. "Are you happy here?" she asked him one day. Taemin wanted to say no. He wanted to tell her that he felt like a bird in a cage, that every day felt like a weight pressing on his chest. But Hana had been nothing but kind to him, and he saw the concern in her eyes. "The palace is beautiful," he said carefully. "Everyone is very generous." "That is not what I asked," Taemin sighed. "I miss my home, Hana. I miss my life." She looked down. "I know. I have asked my mother many times about letting you leave. She says it is complicated. There are political considerations." "What kind of considerations?" Hana hesitated. "I should not say." "Please." She looked around to make sure no one was listening. "My mother is fascinated by you. By humans in general. She has been studying everything about your species, your history, your wars, your survival instincts. She thinks humans have something we have lost." "What?" "The ability to adapt, to fight against impossible odds. We Veltharans have had peace and prosperity for so long that we have become soft, comfortable. We rely on our technology for everything. We do not take risks. We do not improvise." Hana met his eyes. "You saved me when my own guards could not. You fought creatures that should have killed you. You made decisions in seconds that my people would spend hours calculating. My mother wants to understand how." Taemin felt cold. "She is studying me. In a way, yes. But not just you. She wants to understand humanity itself." Before Taemin could respond, another visitor arrived. Royal Scholar Dawn was a thin woman with sharp eyes and an endless curiosity. She had been assigned to study Taemin from the beginning, conducting tests that she claimed were for mutual cultural understanding. "Captain Taemin," Dawn said, bowing slightly. "I hope I am not interrupting." "Not at all," Taemin said, though he wanted to be alone with his thoughts. "I have some new tests prepared. If you have time." Taemin had time. He always had time. That was the problem. The tests were in Dayan's laboratory, a place filled with strange equipment and floating screens displaying data. She had him solve puzzles, react to simulated dangers, and answer questions about human strategy and tactics. "Interesting," Dayan said, watching him navigate a virtual maze filled with traps. "You do not try to find the safe path. You take risks, betting that speed matters more than caution." "Sometimes the safe path does not exist," Taemin said. "So you make your own path." Dayan made notes. Veltharans would try to calculate the safest route first. By the time they decided, the opportunity would be gone. "Is that why your guards could not save Hana?" Dayan paused. "Partially. They waited for orders, for the right equipment, for backup. You just acted. This is fascinating, but also dangerous." "Dangerous how?" She looked at him carefully. "The Queen is very interested in your military history. She has asked me specifically about human warfare tactics, guerrilla strategies, psychological operations, improvised weapons." Taemin felt his stomach turn. "Why, I cannot say. But I think you should know that your presence here is about more than cultural exchange." That night, Taemin could not sleep. He thought about everything Daun had said. The Queen was not just curious about humans. She wanted something specific, something military. He got up and tried to access the communication systems in his room. He wanted to send a message to Earth to warn them to ask for help. But every channel was blocked. For security purposes, the system informed him. He was truly a prisoner, just one in a very beautiful cell. The next day, Hana found him in the gardens. She looked worried. Taemin, I need to tell you something. My mother is meeting with her war council today. There are rumors that the Korthian Dominion is preparing to attack our colonies. The Korthians? Another empire almost as powerful as ours. We have been enemies for centuries. There is a truce now, but it is fragile. She paused. My mother thinks war is coming, and I think she wants you to help us. Help you how? I am just one man. You are human, and humans know how to fight against superior forces. Your entire history is filled with examples of small groups defeating larger armies through clever tactics and determination. Taemin understood now. The queen had never intended to let him leave. From the moment he saved Hana, from the moment he demonstrated human capability, he had become too valuable to release. What if I refuse? He asked. Hana looked sad. I do not know. But my mother always gets what she wants. Days later, the summons came. Queen Jiwoo wanted to see him. He was brought to a private meeting room, not the grand throne hall. The queen sat at a table, alone except for 2 guards at the door. She gestured for Taemin to sit. You have been a gracious guest, she said through a translator device. Her English was improving. But you are restless, unhappy. I want to go home, Your Majesty, I know. And I wish I could grant that wish, but circumstances have changed. She touched a control and a holographic display appeared showing a map of space. Red markers indicated ships and fleets. The Korthian Dominion is mobilizing. We have intelligence that they plan to attack within months. This war could destroy billions of lives. I am sorry, Your Majesty, but what does this have to do with me? The queen leaned forward. Everything. You see, Taemin, I have studied your people extensively. Humans are survivors. You evolved on a harsh world, competed with each other for resources, and developed incredible adaptability. Every other species in the galaxy took the easy path once they developed technology. But humans? You kept fighting, kept struggling, kept pushing yourselves. We had no choice. Exactly. And that is what we have lost. We need to remember how to fight without relying only on technology. We need to learn human tactics, human thinking, human courage. Taemin shook his head. You want me to train your military? Yes. And if I refuse? The queen's expression did not change, but her words were cold. Then you will remain here, comfortable but useless until you change your mind or until we find another way to extract what we need from you. I would prefer your cooperation, but I will have your knowledge one way or another. There it was. The truth finally out in the open. Taemin was not a guest. He was a resource. He thought about his options. Fight, he would lose. Escape, impossible. Refuse? He would be locked away and studied like a laboratory animal. If I agree, he said slowly. Will you let me go afterward? The queen smiled. Of course. Once the threat has passed, you will be free to return home with our gratitude and many gifts. Taemin did not believe her. But he also knew he had no choice. At least if he agreed, he would have some freedom of movement. Maybe eventually he could find a way to escape. I will help you, he said. But I want Princess Hana as my liaison. I trust her. The queen nodded. Agreed. You will begin training a select unit next week. As Taemin left the meeting, he felt the full weight of his situation. He was trapped, forced to use his skills to help an alien empire prepare for war. And the worst part was that he understood the queen's position. If war was truly coming, she needed every advantage. But that did not make the cage any less golden or any less locked. The message from Earth Command arrived 2 weeks after Taemin agreed to train the Veltharan military. It was short, formal, and devastating. Captain Taemin, your extended service as cultural liaison has been noted and approved. Earth Command recognizes the strategic importance of maintaining positive relations with the Veltharan Empire. You are ordered to continue your assignment until further notice. Your tour of duty has been extended indefinitely. Earth Command out. Taemin read the message 3 times. They had abandoned him, sold him out for the promise of Veltharan technology and trade agreements. He was officially ordered to do exactly what the Queen wanted. He crushed the datapad in his hand, the screen cracking. Then he threw it across the room. Hana found him an hour later, sitting in the dark. She turned on the lights and saw the broken pad on the floor. Taemin? What happened? He handed her another copy of the message. She read it and her face fell. I am so sorry. Your mother contacted them, did not she? Made them an offer they could not refuse. Hana sat down beside him. I do not know what deals were made. But yes, I think my mother convinced your leaders that keeping you here was in everyone's best interest. Everyone except me. That is not fair. I spoke against this. I told my mother it was wrong. Taemin looked at her, but she did not listen. No, she never does when her mind is made up. Hana reached out and took his hand. But maybe this does not have to be terrible. You could help save millions of lives. If the Korthians attack and we are not prepared, the war could spread. Other systems would be drawn in. Even Earth might eventually be threatened. So I should just accept being a prisoner because it is for the greater good? You are not a prisoner. Really? Can I leave? Hana said nothing. Taemin pulled his hand away and stood up. When do I start training your soldiers? Tomorrow. The Queen has selected a special unit, the Royal Guard's elite squadron. The training facility was deep inside a military complex carved into a mountain. When Taemin arrived the next morning, he found 50 Veltharan warriors waiting for him. They stood in perfect formation, their armor gleaming, their weapons ready. They looked like they had stepped out of a recruitment poster. Their commander stepped forward. Sungho was tall even for a Veltharan, with sharp features and eyes that assessed Taemin like a threat to be analyzed. So you are the human, Sungho said. His English was perfect but cold. The one who supposedly knows how to fight better than us. I am here to teach different tactics, not better ones, Taemin said carefully. Every military has strengths. I am just offering another perspective. We are the Phoenix Squadron. We have trained for years. We have the best equipment in the Empire. We do not need lessons from a primitive species. Several warriors behind Sungho nodded in agreement. This was going to be difficult. Taemin walked forward until he was face to face with Sungho. You are right. You have better technology, better armor, better weapons. So let me ask you something. Why could not your elite guard save Princess Hana? Sungho's face darkened. That was an ambush. They were outnumbered. They did everything by protocol. Exactly. They followed protocol. They waited for the right moment. They called for backup, and while they were being professional soldiers, Princess Hana was dying. Taemin pointed at himself. I had worse equipment. No backup, no support. But I got her out. Want to know why? Enlighten me. Because I did not care about protocol. I saw someone who needed help and I went in. I adapted to the situation. I took risks. I survived. Taemin looked at the assembled squadron. That is what I can teach you. Not how to be better at what you already do, but how to think differently when everything goes wrong. Sungho stared at him for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Show us. The training was brutal. Taemin started by taking away their advantages. No advanced weapons, just basic equipment. No communications, forcing them to make decisions independently. No battle plans, just scenarios that changed every few minutes. The Veltharan warriors hated it. This is chaos, one warrior complained after a particularly difficult exercise. There is no structure, no coordination. War is chaos, Taemin said. Your enemies will not follow your battle plans. Equipment fails. Communication breaks down. Commanders die. When that happens, you need soldiers who can think for themselves. He taught them guerrilla tactics from Earth's history, hit-and-run attacks, ambushes, psychological warfare, using terrain as a weapon, turning the enemy's strengths into weaknesses. But the squadron struggled. They were too used to their way of fighting, too dependent on their technology, too rigid in their thinking. After 2 weeks of training, Sungho pulled Taemin aside. This is not working. My warriors are frustrated. Their performance scores have actually dropped. Good, Taemin said. Good?
How is that good?
Because they are being forced out of their comfort zone. That is where real learning happens. Give them time. We may not have time. Intelligence reports say the Korthians are moving faster than expected. That night, Taemin received another visitor. Queen Jiwoo arrived at the training facility unannounced, something that caused everyone to scramble. She watched from an observation deck as Taemin ran the squadron through exercises. When the training ended, she summoned him. Commander Sungho tells me the training is not going well, she said. It is going exactly as expected, Your Majesty. You cannot teach new thinking in a few weeks. These warriors have trained their entire lives in one style. I am asking them to forget everything and start over. Do you think they will be ready if war comes? Taemin chose his words carefully. I think they will be different. Whether that makes them better depends on the situation they face. The Queen studied him. You are angry with me. With your own government, does it matter? It does to me. I did not want it to happen this way, Timon. I truly did not. But I have a responsibility to my people. The Corthians have 3 times our military strength. They have been preparing for war while we have been enjoying peace. If they attack, we will lose unless we find an advantage. So you made me your advantage. Yes, but I also made Earth a promise. In exchange for your service, we will share technology that will advance your species by decades. Medical advances. Energy systems. Faster than light travel improvements. Your world will benefit immensely. And I get to spend the rest of my life here while they benefit. The Queen's expression softened, just slightly. I will make you another promise, Taemin. One I give you personally. If you help us survive this war. If you train my soldiers and give us a chance against the Corthians, I will personally ensure you return home. Not as a captain, but as an ambassador. You will be the bridge between our peoples, free to travel between both worlds. You will have wealth, status, and freedom. And if I believe you, then you will have hope. And hope makes even prisoners fight harder. She left him with those words. Days later, something changed. Princess Hana asked to join the training. At first, Seung-ho refused. She was royalty, not a warrior. But Hana insisted, and the Queen allowed it. Her presence changed everything. The squadron could not complain about difficult training when a princess endured the same hardships. They could not question Taemin's methods when royalty followed his instructions without complaint. Hana struggled at first. She had never trained for combat. But she pushed through, determined to understand what her people would face in war. Watching her train, covered in dirt and exhaustion, Taemin felt something shift. She did not have to do this. She could have stayed in the palace, safe and comfortable, but she chose to stand beside her people. One evening, after a particularly hard day, she sat beside him while the squadron rested. Why did you really join the training? He asked. Because I wanted to understand you better. To see what you see, feel what you feel. She looked at him. And because if my people are going to learn human ways of fighting, they should see that even their princess believes it is worth learning. You are braver than you look, she laughed. That is the human in you talking. We Veltharans say you are wiser than you appear. Is there a difference? Yes, bravery is acting without thinking. Wisdom is thinking and then acting anyway. Taemin smiled. It was the first time he had smiled in weeks. The squadron was slowly improving. They were learning to adapt, to improvise, to trust their instincts. They still had a long way to go, but they were changing. Then the news came. The Corthian Dominion had attacked a border world. The war had begun, and Phoenix Squadron was about to face their first real test. The war room was filled with tension. Holographic displays showed the border world burning. The Corthian attack had been swift and brutal. 3 cities were already destroyed. Millions were dead or displaced. Queen Jiwoo stood at the center, her face carved from stone. Generals and admirals surrounded her, all talking at once. Everyone had opinions. Everyone had plans. But Taemin noticed something. No one was making decisions. We need to send the 5th Fleet, one admiral said. Overwhelming force is the only response. The 5th Fleet is 3 days away, another argued. By then, the planet will be lost. We should evacuate civilians. That would show weakness. We need to hold the line. With what? The garrison there was not prepared for this. The Queen raised her hand. Silence fell instantly. Phoenix Squadron is our fastest response unit. They are ready for deployment, correct? All eyes turned to Commander Seung-ho. He stood straighter. We have completed basic training, Your Majesty. But we have not been tested in real combat. Then this will be your test. The Queen looked at Taemin. You will accompany them as tactical advisor. Show me if human methods work in actual war. Taemin felt his stomach drop. Your Majesty, they need more time. They have only been training for 6 weeks. We do not have more time. The transport leaves in 2 hours. Be on it. The flight to the border world took 8 hours. Taemin spent most of it checking equipment and reviewing intelligence reports. The Corthians had landed with 5,000 troops. The Veltharan garrison had 2,000 defenders, now scattered and disorganized. Phoenix Squadron consisted of 50 warriors plus support staff. Taemin did the math. 50 against 5,000. It was insane. Seung-ho sat beside him, his face unreadable. You are thinking we cannot win. I am thinking this is not training anymore. People are going to die. Then let us make sure they are mostly Korthians. Sung-Ho pulled up a map. The garrison commander is requesting reinforcement at the main base. But I think that is a mistake. Why? Because the Korthians want us to defend the base. They will surround it and slowly destroy us. That is how they fight. Overwhelming force, standard tactics. He looked at Taemin. What would humans do? Taemin studied the map. Humans would not defend. We would attack. Attack? We are outnumbered 100 to 1. Exactly. They will not expect it. Taemin pointed to different locations. The Korthians landed here, and here. They spread out to cover ground fast. That means their supply lines are thin. Their command structure is dispersed. They are strong everywhere but weak everywhere. Sung-Ho leaned forward. You want to hit their supplies, and their communications, and their commanders. Not all at once. One target at a time. Make them think we are everywhere. Keep them off balance. Taemin looked at him. But this means we cannot help the garrison right away. They will have to survive on their own. The garrison commander will be angry. Let him be angry. We are here to win, not to make everyone happy. They dropped onto the planet under cover of darkness. The transport could not get close to the combat zone, so they had to travel the last 50 kilometers on foot through rough terrain. Princess Hana was with them. Taemin had tried to convince her to stay behind, but she refused. My people are dying, she said. I will not hide in safety while they fight. The squadron moved quietly through the night. Taemin had taught them how to move without making noise, how to use darkness in terrain. The Veltharan warriors were finally understanding. Their first target was a supply depot 5 kilometers behind enemy lines. Intelligence said it held ammunition, fuel, and medical supplies. 20 Korthian guards protected it. Taemin split the squadron into 5 teams. They would attack from different directions at the same time. No fancy tactics, just speed and surprise. Remember, he whispered to the team leaders. In and out. Destroy what you can, then disappear. Do not stand and fight. Hit them and run. The attack lasted 4 minutes. Phoenix Squadron struck fast, destroyed the depot, and vanished before the Korthians could organize a response. They lost no one. The second target was a communication relay. 15 guards. Same result. They destroyed the relay and disappeared into the night. The third target was harder. A command post with 50 Korthian soldiers. But Taemin had noticed something. The Korthians had set up camp following textbook procedures. Everything was organized, predictable. They fight by the book, he told Sung-Ho. So we throw out the book. Instead of attacking, they set traps. They planted explosives along the paths Korthian patrols used. They sabotaged vehicles. They spread false intelligence about Veltharan troop movements. They made noise in one direction, then attacked from another. The Korthians grew paranoid. They pulled troops back to protect their bases. They stopped advancing. They spent more time looking over their shoulders than pushing forward. For 3 days, Phoenix Squadron terrorized the Korthian forces. They never stayed in one place. They never fought fair. They were like ghosts, striking and vanishing. The Korthian commander sent increasingly angry messages demanding to know how many Veltharan troops were attacking them. He estimated at least 500 based on the attacks. There were 50. On the 4th day, the Veltharan 5th Fleet arrived. The Korthians, already demoralized and scattered, fell apart. Some surrendered. Others retreated. The planet was saved, but it came at a cost. During the final engagement, Commander Sung-Ho led an assault on a Korthian artillery position that was bombarding civilian areas. The mission was successful, but Sung-Ho was badly wounded. By the time they got him to medical facilities, he had lost too much blood. Taemin sat beside him in the field hospital. Sung-Ho's breathing was shallow. We won, Sung-Ho whispered. Your tactics worked. At too high a price. No, this is war. People die, but we saved thousands. He gripped Taemin's arm weakly. I was wrong about you. About humans. You are not primitive. You are survivors. And now so are we. Sung-Ho died an hour later. Taemin stayed with him until the end. The squadron held a memorial service that night. They honored Sung-Ho and 3 other warriors who had fallen. Princess Hana spoke about their sacrifice. But when she finished, she looked at Taemin. Our human advisor would like to say something. Taemin had not prepared anything. He stood awkwardly before the assembled warriors, these alien soldiers who had become something like comrades. Where I come from, he said slowly, we have a saying. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down their life for their friends. Commander Seung-ho did not have to lead that assault personally. He could have sent others, but he went because he believed in protecting the innocent. That is not a Veltharan value or a human value. That is a universal value. He taught me that courage exists in every species. We just express it differently. The squadron bowed their heads in respect. After the ceremony, Hana found Taemin sitting alone, looking at the stars. "You are thinking about Earth," she said. "I am thinking I do not know where I belong anymore." "What do you mean?" "I have spent months here. I have trained your people, fought beside them, lost friends among them. Earth feels like a distant memory, but I am still not Veltharan. I am stuck between two worlds." Hana sat beside him. "Maybe that is exactly where you need to be. A bridge between worlds. Your mother wants more from me. Now that the tactics worked, she will want me to train more squadrons, to prepare your entire military. Would that be so terrible?" Taemin looked at her. "Hana, I did not choose this. I am still a prisoner here, just one with a longer leash. I know, and I am sorry. But I also think," she hesitated, "I think you are making a difference. Real change that will save lives. Is that not worth something?" "It would be worth more if it was my choice." They sat in silence for a while. Then Hana spoke quietly. "When I was trapped under that beam, dying on that hostile planet, I had accepted my fate. I thought those creatures would kill me. Then you appeared, a stranger with no reason to help, risking everything for someone you did not know. You changed my life that day, and now you are changing my people. Maybe the universe brought you here for a reason. Or maybe your mother manipulated events to trap me here." Hana smiled sadly. "Maybe both can be true." News of Phoenix Squadron's success spread quickly. They became heroes across the Empire. Stories of the human tactical advisor who taught Veltharans to fight like guerrillas became legendary. Other military units requested similar training. Queen Jiwoo summoned Taemin again. She congratulated him on the victory. She promised him more resources, more support. "You have proven the value of human thinking," she said. "Now we must expand the program. I want you to develop a full training curriculum. We will create an academy, with you as its head." "Your Majesty, that is not what we agreed. You said one squadron. Then I could discuss returning home." The Queen's expression did not change. "Circumstances have changed. The Corthians were pushed back, but they are not defeated. They will attack again. We need you." Taemin felt the cage closing tighter. "And if I refuse?" "Then thousands of my people will die because you withheld knowledge that could save them." "Is that what you want?" It was manipulation, pure and simple. But it was also true. Taemin had the skills to help. Refusing would cost lives. He looked at the Queen and saw something he had not noticed before. She was afraid. This powerful ruler who controlled star systems was terrified of losing to the Corthians. "I will do it," he said, "but I want something in return." "Name it." The academy took shape over the following months. Taemin worked with royal scholar Dae-yoon to create training programs that combined human tactics with Veltharan technology. They started small, with 3 additional squadrons. But the Queen kept expanding the program. Taemin barely slept. He spent his days teaching, his evenings planning, and his nights worrying. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him constantly. These were not training exercises anymore. Every decision he made could mean the difference between soldiers living or dying in actual combat. Princess Hana helped however she could. She had become his assistant, his translator, and his friend. Maybe more than friend. Taemin tried not to think about that complication. One night she found him in his office, surrounded by reports and tactical simulations. "You need to rest," she said. "You have been working for 16 hours. The Corthians do not rest. The Corthians also do not care if their soldiers burn out." She gently took the datapad from his hands. "You taught us that a tired commander makes fatal mistakes." Taemin rubbed his eyes. She was right. He was exhausted. "Come with me," Hana said. "I want to show you something." She led him to a balcony overlooking the palace gardens. The night sky was brilliant with stars, 3 moons hanging like lanterns. It was beautiful, even if it was not Earth. "Do you still miss home?" she asked. "Every day. But it is different now. Earth feels more like an idea than a place. I remember it, but it is becoming less real. Would you go back if you could? Right now, if a ship was waiting?" Taemin thought about it honestly. "I do not know anymore. I have responsibilities here, people depending on me. And He looked at her. I have reasons to stay that have nothing to do with your mother's orders. Hana smiled, but before she could respond, alarms screamed across the palace. They ran to the command center. Queen Jiwoo was already there, looking at holographic displays that showed ships dropping out of hyperspace. Dozens of them. All Korthian. They are attacking the Talvan colony, an admiral reported. Population 8 million. Military garrison of 5,000. The fleet is 3 days away. 3 days, the Queen repeated. They will have conquered the planet by then. Your Majesty, another officer said. We could send Phoenix Squadron and the other trained units. They are the only forces close enough to arrive in time. Everyone looked at Taemin. 4 squadrons. 200 warriors. Against what intelligence estimated to be 20,000 Korthian troops. It is not enough, Taemin said. We would be throwing them away. Then 8 million people will die or become slaves, the Queen said coldly. Those are our only options. Taemin stared at the display. The numbers were impossible. But he remembered Earth's history. The Battle of Thermopylae. The Alamo. Countless times when small forces had held against overwhelming odds, not to win but to buy time. We cannot defeat them, he said slowly. But we might be able to delay them. Make them cautious. Slow their advance enough for the fleet to arrive. How? By making them think we have more forces than we do. By hitting them everywhere at once. By making the cost of every kilometer so high that they hesitate. He looked at the Queen. But it will be dangerous. Casualties will be heavy. Better some casualties than total loss. The Queen touched a control. Alert Phoenix Squadron and the other trained units. They deploy immediately. The transport ships departed within 2 hours. Taemin stood in the hangar bay watching the squadrons board. These warriors had trained under him. He knew their names, their strengths, their fears. Now he was sending them into hell. Princess Hana appeared beside him in combat armor. What are you doing? Taemin asked. Going with you? Absolutely not. This is going to be a slaughter. Then my people need to see that their princess stands with them. Her voice was firm. You are going. I am going. That is final. Taemin wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in her eyes. She had changed since he first rescued her. She was not the sheltered princess anymore. Stay close to me, he said. Please. The Talvan colony was a beautiful world of blue oceans and green continents, but as their ships approached, they saw smoke rising from cities. The Korthians had already begun their assault. Taemin gathered the squadron leaders in the command ship's briefing room. He pulled up tactical maps. We have 200 warriors against 20,000 enemies. Traditional tactics say we are dead, so we do not use traditional tactics. He pointed to locations across the map. The Korthians have landed in 3 main locations. Their strategy is to take the major cities first, then spread out. We are going to make that impossible. How? Asked one squadron leader. We attack their logistics. Every army needs supplies, communications, medical support. We destroy those. We make them spend 10 soldiers protecting every supply truck. We force them to slow down, to be careful, to waste time. That is not fighting, another leader protested. That is hiding and sabotage. That is surviving, Taemin said sharply. You want to stand in a field and face them in honest combat? You will die in minutes. You want to save this colony? Then you fight smart, not proud. The squadrons deployed across the colony. For the first week, Taemin's strategy worked perfectly. Small teams struck supply convoys, destroyed communication relays, planted explosives along roads, and disappeared before the Korthians could respond. The enemy advance slowed to a crawl as they sent more troops to protect their logistics. But the Korthians learned. They started using drones to scout areas before sending troops. They moved in larger groups. They set traps for the Veltheran raiders. On the 8th day, disaster struck. Beta Squadron walked into an ambush. 20 warriors died in minutes. The survivors barely escaped. Taemin listened to the casualty reports and felt sick. 20 warriors, 20 people he had trained, gone. That night, as he reviewed battle plans, Princess Hana found him. You cannot blame yourself, she said. I sent them into that area. I made the decision. You made the best decision you could with the information you had. That is all any commander can do. Tell that to their families. Hana sat beside him. Taemin, war is terrible. People die. But if you were not here, if you had not taught us these tactics, the entire colony would already be lost. The Korthians thought they would conquer this world in days. You have held them back for over a week. At what cost? At the cost of buying time. The fleet arrives in 2 days. 2 more days and we can save millions. But the Korthians were growing desperate. If the Veltheran fleet arrived, they would lose. So they changed tactics. Instead of slowly conquering territory, they began targeting civilian centers with orbital bombardment. The message was clear. Surrender or watch your cities burn. Taemin stood in a field hospital surrounded by wounded soldiers and burned civilians when the Korthian ultimatum came through. Surrender all forces or they would destroy the capital city. Population 2 million. We cannot surrender, one squadron leader said. It would dishonor everyone who died. And if we do not surrender, 2 million people die, another argued. They all looked at Taemin. He was the human, the one who was supposed to have answers. Taemin thought about Earth, about all the times humans had faced impossible choices, about the decisions that haunted history. We do not surrender, he said. But we do not let them destroy the city either. We make them commit everything to one location. Then we hit them with everything we have. That is suicide. Maybe. But it gives the people in that city time to evacuate, and it shows the Korthians that we will not be scared into submission. They developed a plan. All remaining squadrons would attack the main Korthian base while civilians evacuated the capital. It would be the biggest assault they had attempted. Also, the most dangerous Phoenix Squadron volunteered to lead the attack. What was left of them anyway? They had started with 50 warriors. Now there were 32. The night before the assault, Taemin walked through the camp. He stopped to talk with warriors, checking equipment, offering encouragement. He felt like a fraud. These people trusted him, and he was leading them into a battle most would not survive. Commander Seung-ho's replacement, a young warrior named Jin, found him. The squadron wants you to know something, Jin said. We understand the odds. We know most of us will not see tomorrow, but we choose to fight anyway. Because you taught us that some things are worth dying for. Commander Seung-ho died believing that. We believe it too. Taemin could not speak. He just nodded. The assault began at dawn. 200 warriors against the main Korthian base holding 5,000 enemy troops. The Veltherans used every trick Taemin had taught them. Deception, speed, chaos. They struck from multiple directions, planted explosives, created diversions. The base descended into confusion. Korthians fired at shadows. Their command structure collapsed. For a few beautiful hours, it seemed like the impossible was happening. Then the Korthian reinforcements arrived. The battle turned into a desperate fight for survival. Taemin fought alongside Phoenix Squadron, his weapon running dry, switching to a borrowed sword when he had no other choice. Princess Hana fought beside him, her combat training finally put to real test. Jin died covering their retreat, taking down 6 Korthians before falling. Others followed. The squadron fell. The remaining months passed in a blur of activity. Taemin continued training new squadrons, developing tactics, preparing the Veltheran military for future conflicts. But something inside him had changed after the battle at Talvin Colony. The anger he had carried for so long was fading, replaced by something else. Purpose, maybe. Or acceptance. Earth's message declaring him dead had been the final cut. They had abandoned him completely. He was a ghost, a non-person erased from records. His family would receive notice that he died in the line of duty. There would be a memorial service on a world he could no longer call home. Scholar Da-un found him one afternoon in the Academy's library, staring at files about Earth. Researching your home world? She asked, saying goodbye to it. Da-un sat across from him. She had become something like a friend over the months. I am sorry for my part in this. I studied you like a specimen when you were a person. I should have spoken up. Would it have changed anything? Probably not. The Queen wanted what you could provide. But I should have tried. She paused. For what it is worth, you have changed us. The military academy is just the start. Veltherans are thinking differently now. Taking risks. Questioning old assumptions. That is your legacy. A legacy I never chose to create. The best legacies rarely are. That evening, Taemin walked through the palace gardens. He had walked these paths hundreds of times now. He knew every tree, every fountain, every hidden bench. When had this place become familiar? Princess Hana found him by the reflecting pool. She often did. They had fallen into a comfortable routine, meeting here each evening to talk. She had not mentioned her confession of love again, giving him space to process everything. The academy graduation is tomorrow, she said. 200 new warriors trained in human tactics. My mother is very pleased. Your mother should be pleased. She got everything she wanted, did she? Hana looked at him carefully. I think she wanted more than just trained soldiers. I think she wanted to understand humans, and I do not think she ever really did. What makes you say that? Because she thinks you can be controlled with duty and obligation. But you cannot. You do things because you believe they are right, not because someone orders you to. Hana smiled. That is why her plans keep going wrong. She cannot predict you, Taemin laughed. It felt good to laugh. I am not that complicated. You are exactly that complicated. You are angry about being trapped here, yet you work harder than anyone. You resent my mother, yet you save her people. You miss Earth, yet you have made a life here. You are full of contradictions. What about you? What do you want? Hana was quiet for a moment. I want you to be happy, whatever that means, whether here or somewhere else. Even if it means never seeing me again, even then, though it would break my heart. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the moons rise over the city. Taemin realized this was the first time in months he had felt truly peaceful. The graduation ceremony was impressive. 200 warriors in perfect formation, their armor shining, their pride evident. Queen Jiwoo gave a speech about progress and strength. Then she called Taemin forward. Captain Taemin of Earth, she said formally, you have fulfilled your agreement with exceptional dedication. You have trained our warriors, saved our colonies, and proved the value of human Veltheran cooperation. As promised, your 2-year commitment ends today. You are free to return to Earth if you wish. The crowd was silent. Everyone knew Earth had declared him dead. Everyone knew he had nowhere to go. However, the Queen continued, I have a proposal. Remain with us, not as a prisoner or an obligation, but as a citizen of the Veltheran Empire. I offer you noble title, command of the Academy, and a place of honor among our people. You would have freedom to travel, to communicate with Earth, to build bridges between our worlds. The choice is entirely yours. Taemin looked out at the assembled crowd. He saw the warriors he had trained, the colleagues he had worked with, the friends he had made. He saw Scholar Daun smiling encouragingly. He saw Princess Hana watching him with hope and fear in her eyes. He thought about Earth, his small apartment, his routine missions, his lonely life. That person felt like a stranger now. Your Majesty, he said carefully. Before I answer, I need to know something. If I choose to stay, is it truly my choice? Or will I still be a prisoner in a golden cage? The Queen met his eyes. That depends. Will you stay out of duty or because you want to? I do not know yet. I need time to figure that out. Then take time. Take as long as you need. But know this, Taemin. I brought you here against your will. I kept you here through manipulation and necessity. I am not proud of that. But I have watched you grow from an angry prisoner to a respected leader. You belong here now not because I forced you, but because you have earned your place. That is the truth, whether you believe it or not. Taemin was surprised. He had never heard the Queen admit fault before. I need to make one thing clear, he said. If I stay on my terms. I will not be your weapon or your tool. I will help your people, but I will also maintain contact with Earth. I will work to build real cooperation between our species, not just military alliances. And I will speak truth to power, even when you do not want to hear it. The Queen actually smiled. I would expect nothing less. Do we have an agreement? Taemin thought about everything that had led to this moment. The rescue, the captivity, the battles, the losses, the growth. All of it had been leading here to this choice. I will stay, he said, but not as your subject. As your partner. If you can accept that, I can. The Queen extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. Taemin shook it and the crowd erupted in applause. After the ceremony, Taemin stood alone in his quarters looking out at the city lights. He had made his choice. Now he had to live with it. A knock on his door. Princess Hana entered, still in her formal robes. You stayed, she said. I stayed. Why? Really why? Taemin turned to face her. Because Earth erased me, but you saw me. Because I was more useful here than I ever was there. Because somewhere along the way, this stopped being a prison and became a purpose. He stepped closer, and because someone once told me they loved me, and I have been thinking about that ever since. Hana's eyes widened. Taemin, I am not good at this. I do not know if humans and Veltherans can even have relationships like this. But I know that when I think about the future, I see you in it. That has to mean something. She closed the distance between them, taking his hands. It means everything. They stood together, human and alien, looking out at a world that was becoming home. The next morning, Tai Min met with Scholar Da-un to discuss his proposal. He wanted to establish a real exchange program, bringing human volunteers to Velthera and sending Veltheran scholars to Earth. It will not be easy, Da-un said. Earth is still suspicious of us, and my people are suspicious of humans. Then we change that. One person at a time. We show both sides that cooperation benefits everyone. You really believe that? I have to. Otherwise, all of this, everything I went through, was meaningless. They spent weeks developing the proposal. When Taiman presented it to Queen Jiwu, he expected resistance. Instead, she approved it immediately, you see. She said, "This is why I needed you here. Not just for tactics, but for vision. Veltherans think in terms of centuries. Humans think in terms of generations. Together we can build something neither species could achieve alone." The first human volunteers arrived 3 months later. 12 people, carefully selected, eager to learn and teach. Taman met them at the spaceport, and for the first time in over 2 years he spoke to someone from Earth. They were shocked to find him alive. Earth Command had listed him as dead. His family had held a memorial service. He was a ghost who had returned. "What do we tell them?" one volunteer asked. "Your family will want to know you are alive." Tamin thought about it. "Tell them the truth. Tell them I found a new home. Tell them I am happy. And tell them I am building something important here." The volunteer looked at him carefully. "You have changed. You are different from the man in your service records. I am different from the man who crashed on that hostile planet. That person was just surviving. This person is living." As the program grew, as humans and Veltherans began truly cooperating, Taman felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. Not hope for escape, but hope for the future. One evening, he stood on that same balcony where he had spent so many nights questioning his fate. Princess Hana joined him, as she always did. She was his partner now in every sense, though they kept it quiet. Some things were too precious to share with everyone. "Do you ever regret staying?" she asked. Tamin looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, the world of his birth, but here was Velthera, the world of his choice. "Sometimes I miss Earth," he admitted. "I miss the food, the sounds, the familiar things. But regret? No, I think I was always meant to end up here. The universe just took a strange path to get me here." "You believe in destiny?" "I believe in choices. And I believe that sometimes the choices we do not want to make turn out to be the right ones." He put his arm around her. "Your mother trapped me here. But in trapping me, she freed me from a life where I was just existing. Now I am part of something bigger. Now I matter. You always mattered. Maybe, but now I know it.